what it is. Oh, are
Okay,
we? Oh, I
we're
guess we're live.
live.
Okay, let's just take a moment and catch our breath. If you're just tuning in right now, we had some drama going on, some tech drama.
Oh, they're bored by that. It's just my stupid freaking system here. Once in a while, I just get these gremlins in here. And I thought we were going to log on at 7:30. So, hello, strange cruel world. Hi, Jill. You're not
Hi.
cruel.
So I just want to double check. I mean, look, this is kind of a big episode tonight because we have Tara Harris will be joining us at 7:30 to answer questions that were submitted. We're still trying to warm her up to the whole idea of doing readings on camera and whatnot. I just want to make sure.
You make sure while I get my blue velvet curtains. There we go.
Yeah.
That was something
Oh,
I have
you're
to
all,
get right.
okay. I see that people are watching. So yeah, okay, we're situated. This is good. Oh, how are you? I missed you last week. You had Dr. Simeon Hine on.
We did. And boy, it's so fun hanging out with him. In fact, Simeon just dropped a episode with George Norrie. I think
Beyond Belief. Yeah.
Beyond Belief, and Simeon Hine is a thing now, so you can check that out. That's available for your viewing pleasure. And last week was also a viewing pleasure to the 10th degree. And it's hard not to go down the orb rabbit hole with Simeon. And I think it's appropriate, just given the fact that so many people talk about strange lights in the woods in proximity to these cryptids, including Sasquatch. And so that's what we did. And Simeon and I could have probably gone for another hour or so. And he calls me Tobes. He doesn't call me Tobe. He calls me plural Tobes. And I think it's way better. So now I'm going by Tobes.
Awesome. And I have to say, Brett, Mike, and I were packed into my car with all of the gear.
Right.
Traveling from, we were just on the other side of the Palisades fire down in Southern California, traveling through the back roads. And I was doing my best. I was like, one bar, no reception, one bar, trying to follow along and trying to interact. But I don't think it was doing much for you guys. The conversation had a life of its own, but it seemed like people were really engaged, and that's awesome. So yeah, I'll definitely make a note. I'm going to watch Simeon's interview later tonight.
I think people really enjoyed it because it immediately got a lot of views. And, Simeon, he's such an educator and such a good one. Like I remember like two teachers I liked, Mrs. Downey and Mr. Ford. Two teachers out of 12 years in public education. If Simeon would have had me at one of his classes, I would have had to like fake that I was graduating. I'd be like back to school with what's his name. But yeah, no, I never had a class with Simeon except last Wednesday or Thursday. And so anyway, we message back and forth now and again regarding this ongoing drone issues. And if you haven't been watching, we talked a little bit about it last week, but there's been some pressing going on from the DC area regarding transparency about what's going on with these drones. And I think it might be something way more interesting than foreign adversaries, and so does Simeon. So there's some new whistleblowers. You sent me a link to a new film coming out about disclosure, nothing to do with Dr. Stephen Greer. But if this is the way that they are going to start trickling out information in regards to orbs, plasmoids, drones, UFOs, abductees, witnesses, then I'm here for it, because I think it tells a larger issue of how disclosure will happen when it comes to this hairy matter, furry matter.
And what did you think with all the recent interview that came out on the UAP UFO disclosure about the egg-shaped craft?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about that?
Well, it wasn't the disclosure I was looking for. This is not the disclosure I'm looking for. I mean, that was anything but. I loved what the guy had to say. First of all, when you talk about psionics, right? Like these
Mhm.
are the people that are the RVers or the CE5 contactees, and that they employ these psionics, and they, now people are talking about what these people are and whether or not you could profile what these, I don't want to call them remote viewers, but these CE5 channelers, really, right? They're not channeling. They're trying to contact something by divining it down to Earth, UFOs included. We think, but I heard something really interesting about who these psionic people are. Is that there's like 5 categories. What makes up a perfect psionics employee is one of the things that they said is that they have short lifespans and that they're generally not heterosexual, which I thought was really bizarre. Like there were 3 other parameters too mentioning what these psionic people are generally like, and those 2 caught me off guard. And so I'll try to find out who wrote that up or who sent that to me. I want to say it was someone like a George Knapp kind of voice that was talking about it. So really interesting stuff. But the egg in particular, I mean, didn't Mork hatch from an egg on Mork and Mindy? It's just like, come on, really? Like, now are we going back to Mork and Mindy being soft disclosure for these kind of conversations? I don't know.
It was so interesting, and I don't have the book with me. It's downstairs, but it's this book, Mysteries of the Unexplained, and it has a bunch of old school reports in it. And one of them is like from the 60s or 70s, and it's about this report that totally matches what they're talking about, of like some people who had this encounter with this egg-shaped craft and how they came out. Now, coincidentally, the following report was one of a guy who received like pancakes or something from a UFO or something.
Boy, this is sounding kind of vaguely familiar. Like, I remember some kind of pastry dish or something like that. And, but that's it. I mean, I don't know. I would think they'd be more into crepes, but pancakes, flapjacks, okay.
Well, it's a hearty,
It is, yeah.
savory, delicious meal. I mean, what do you
And there
want?
again, you have Stranger Things with 11 eating waffles. Is that a type of
It,
soft disclosure? What's
disclosure.
happening?
So, hey, I know I told Tara to log on by 7:25 just so we could keep her in the wings. I do have some stuff that I do want to run through really quick. One of them is, I mean, do you have that photo I sent you?
Well, so like before we were talking, off to the left, you see all those blurry images over there? Is there
Yeah.
one that's available? I don't know if it erased it when
Oh no.
we had that little. I had everything loaded up there. You can see those boxes, right? And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it decided to get rid of them. So an
Yeah.
hour wasted.
No, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. But you know what I could do is let me see if I can do this. I'll just go to share screen, allow to share screen. I can find it. Share this window. Can you let me share a screen?
Show on
Is it
stream. I'm going to do it.
okay? Good. I got it right here, I believe. Let me find it. Can they see this?
I see a lot of us screen stuff, chat.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let me share this window. Try this here. How about this? Can you see that?
I see nothing.
Okay.
Well, shoot. You
We
know what?
tried.
We tried. I will post it on our Facebook page and I'll drop it in the YouTube community chat. One of our listeners from New Zealand sent us a photo of him in a paranormal Bigfoot sweatshirt that he ordered from the page. And I was just like, it just seems so crazy what a small world it is when someone in New Zealand knows about what we're talking about and filming here, in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, not that we don't travel and whatnot, but I just thought that was really cool. I was like, it's a small world. So we'll go ahead and share that photo later. Other events coming up. I'm just going through a list here, you guys. Tomorrow, Friday and Saturday, Squatch Fest.
That's right. That's right. I'll be heading out the door bright and early, getting ready to set up. And I think there's some film screening tomorrow. It's more like a meet and greet, and maybe one or two speakers. Goes to the wee hours. You can find us out at Longview, and I believe it's the Chamber of Commerce. The only fairgrounds downtown is where we'll be. So check that out. I think general admission is under $30, and it's usually, Jill, a packed house, right? Like last year, it's one of the busiest conferences I've seen. I mean, it maybe even more busy than Phenomicon. Like it's a high traffic zone.
Yes, because it was smaller.
Yes.
I mean, we were cramped into it, but it was a high traffic area, and I'm excited. I'll be there on Saturday. I don't think we're going to be able to make it out Friday, and I'm not sure on Brett's availability on Saturday, but I will be there with a limited amount of A Flash of Beauty merchandise, and we got lots of stickers. So if you're in the market for a good sticker for the back of your car, hit me up. I'll take care of you. And also, moving on, kind of looking ahead, March 14th through the 16th, Baker City Bigfoot Weekend. I think Brett has the link to that he can drop in the chat. And we still need to figure out the actual schedule for Saturdays. So when you see it like an exciting presentation, another one, just look. I mean, the lineup is like, Tobe, you'll be there. Ashley's going to be there. Angelique will be there. James Shupsky, Jeff Rohn. Did I say Ashley? Like, and then me and Brett, and we've got movies and we've got some other stuff planned. It's going to be a really awesome time. So if you can make that.
Yeah.
You can
I've never been.
Have you been to Baker City before?
No. Nope, I have not. I've only watched a couple of shows about it. I have no idea what I'm getting into. It sounds like a good time. I can't wait.
Well, you know what they filmed in Baker City?
What's that?
Paint Your Wagon.
You just dated.
The Clint Eastwood musical.
Wait, does Clint Eastwood in a musical?
Yeah, Paint Your Wagon.
He sings?
Boy, howdy.
Oh my gosh, I never knew that. Dirty Harry sings. I'll have to see this.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. So let me see. I'm just kind of looking over here. So what did you think? Now, I told the person who submitted that video to us. So Tobe and I were sent a video kind of privately about someone who had a Bigfoot encounter. And he said we could talk about it. I said I would not disclose names or locations. We'll just say east of the Rockies.
Absolutely.
East of the Rockies, the wild card line. No. Do you want to, let's talk about.
Now I won't be able to get ELO out of my mind or whatever 70s butt Rocky plays.
But I want to read part of this message he sent us. And if any of you listening are familiar with Christopher Noel and some of the research and work he's done, just kind of keep that in your mind. So this was a message we got Monday. And then he sent a full video where he's on location and walks us through everything that happened. Let's see here. I'm going to skip some stuff. Okay. We have a public park where on Christmas Day of 2023, we saw a large 10-foot or more Bigfoot walk down a hill and pixelate. It appeared on the other side of the valley, about 150 feet away from where it came from, and started making this X-looking movement with its arm.
Here, I'll do it. It was something like this, right?
Yeah, it was like a
Yeah.
shaking type movement. It's X type thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. I didn't believe in Bigfoot before this happened, but I learned two things at once about it. One, they do exist, and two, they are paranormal or have some ability to do something unnatural. I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in the supernatural elements, but I do know there seems to be much more layers to this existence than we know. I thought that was really interesting that he called out that he's an atheist,
Mm,
yet
yeah.
he's confirming and validating this experience that he witnessed with his own eyes. My daughter is autistic and was also there playing on the playground at a
Such and such.
well-known park that I'm not
Mhm.
going to name. When I saw the Bigfoot, and I've wondered if they can pick up on people who have special needs, like Temple Grandin says about animals who seem to pick up on. I don't believe Bigfoot is merely an animal, but something close. And then he sent a pretty lengthy video going through pointing out like how on one side of this valley, this like hill, it came in and then it kind of pixelated and then it appeared on the other side of this ravine type dip. And this is in a park. And then he moved the camera and he showed that there was a children's playground not far from where all this happened. And his daughter was very matter of fact of like, oh, the Yeti. Yes, we saw the Yeti.
Yeah. No, I mean it was I wrote 5 different bullet points back to this individual regarding his testimony. I mean, very rarely, Jill, do we or do I, over the last years doing this, have ever got a video testimony like that, and what a difference it makes as far as reliving it along with them, and then being able to cut through like, oh, this person is telling I can see they're reliving the moment, so it's all good plus sign column stuff when you see that. And so it was just plus sign, plus sign, plus sign. Plus his child is in the frame periodically. Didn't expect that. You can see the playground. Didn't expect to see that. Then he takes you to the site, and listen. There's also a part of the story where he mentions it has something in its hand, kind of like this. He makes this motion, and he
Yeah,
says it looks like a golf ball in its hand. Now, one, golf balls are a thing, or at least they were for us as far as gifts. They would find them and then they would set them out on the stumps in Port Orchard. Um, it's just the Bigfoot thing in general, golf balls. Like they're
really.
people find them, they hit them, and then they take stuff from the woods and they bring it back to us as gifts. And so that's a possibility.
Hmm.
But I've also heard of people seeing Sasquatch with orbs attached to them, around them, or carrying them, almost like little lanterns of some kind. Even like embedded in their skin. I've heard that before. Lights in their chest piece, kind of like, I don't know. I picture like ET, right? Like he had that glowing heart, that something like that, biomechanical, whatever. And so maybe that's what it was. Maybe this is like some kind of other life form, a plasmoid, an orb, or something like that. He didn't say that, and if it was a daytime sighting, then he probably saw it pretty good. In fact, I know he saw this. He said it was 10 feet tall, maybe better. Uh,
He went back, he referenced the tree where it
yeah,
happened. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
And Temple Grandin, I remember hearing her story, working with animals too. We have a friend of ours, Allie, who lives down by the Cottage Grove area near Jeff Rowan, and I believe she works with horses and people that are on the spectrum, people that are working with equine for services. This is like a whole thing, not just dolphins or dogs, but horses. A lot of times, like horses are so unique, like they're very unique animals. And I would imagine that, the animal quality to Sasquatch is there along with the personhood or whatever else is attached to it. And I bet, just like Tara says, that they can kind of snuff out who is on a different vibration. And that makes perfect sense. There's a couple people actually in our friendship realm here that have had close interactions, and there has been someone in the proximity who is on the spectrum. So there seems to be something to it.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Christopher Noel, he actually wrote a book about kind of comparing, he makes some connections to behavior and characteristics in Sasquatch, forest people, and some of the behaviors in with autism.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I have not read the whole book. I read parts of it, so Brett might be a better person to comment on that. Sorry if I sound distracted. I'm texting with Tara. She's having
technical difficulties too?
Yeah, it says click allow in the Brett. Okay, hold on.
Okay. And I can't see anything here. I'll go through the chat while you're looking at that. I see Psycho Fu, aka John Bull, the Flash of Beauty team. We have our moderator, Brett Eichenberger, dressed up for the occasion. Thanks, Brett. Also here, Matt, just plain Matt. Thanks for coming on board here, Matt. And Llewellyn P. Gary. Oh, Gary. I can't say your last name without screwing it up. Thanks for coming on board, Gary. There's some interesting comments here too along the way. I'll pick up a couple of these here. Ghost Mine, yes, that was set in Baker City, right? This is where Dick and Duck Seacourt, also known as Graybeard, showed up. And not only they were hinting at the fact that they had Sasquatch activity in and around the Ghost Mine, and that might have been played up for TV. I don't know, but certainly there is at least hints of the fact that as they went deeper into the Tommyknocker realm, things got a little hairy outside. And according to the Seacourts, their mine up in what is known as the Bohemia Mountain Range in Cottage Grove, Oregon, is also active, like that spot. How we doing? With Tommyknockers and Squatchy knockers too. How's she doing? Is she?
It's where it says join stream. It's. Wait a minute. Okay. It's a weird pop-up issue. She's on her phone.
She has got a pop-up blocker.
Well, it says, okay, this must be what it's like. This is so like when my parents are like, I'm having tech issues. Oh, and I'm like, unplug it. Oh, but what do we have here? Here's Tara. Okay, and I still have a few things I want to talk about. We can talk about that after Tara. So let's bring her on, back. You guys. Alrighty.
Sorry, I have to be out in my car or get bothered by my kids.
Tara, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we can't see you now. It looks like you're spinning on the side of the earth there, kiddo.
I know. I'm in my car.
Well, no, put the camera back the other way. Otherwise, there you go. That's the way you have to do it.
Find a good. There we go.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm going to put Tara in the middle. There we go.
Get that out of my eye.
Yeah, try to turn on a front light instead of the one in the back.
I have a dumb car. I don't have a front light. Maybe if I sit around this way.
Okay.
This is very mysterious. I kind of like this.
Right?
There we go. Okay, yeah. That's better.
Tara!
There we go.
We are so happy that you could join us. And as you know, I've told you, I spend usually half my day is responding to people who are trying to get a hold of you for readings.
I know.
You're a tiny man. So, we let people know that you were going to come back, and we asked them to submit some questions that hopefully you can bring your guides in and talk to us about, but we don't have to jump in right away. I mean,
no. Hey, Jill, I thought over on the left-hand column is there a black and white video off in the left-hand column there? Do you see something preloaded that looks black and white?
is it 31 seconds and looks like an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah. So don't click that yet, but I want to talk a little bit about Tara and my experience with working with her. I don't get the emails. Hi, Tara, by the way. I don't get the emails that Jill gets, but I've seen the feedback, and it's something different than the other feedback that's happened on the YouTube channel. And I don't know if it caught you off guard, but it kind of caught me off guard just because it was not only the views pointed in your direction, it was the interaction, right? And people were saying stuff like this Aeolian word, like other people had heard it.
Yeah.
There's also this back and forth about how they see energies. Other people are responding. So you brought out like a lot of positive, good feedback happening. There wasn't much like potential negative energy coming your direction, just the typical naysayer stuff. But I was one of those naysayers, and mainly just based upon the fact that, most of the time psychics are vague as far as what's happening. But when you started showing me the EVPs that you were getting, and I could walk with you through our little place, the Axe and the Fiddle, and a little hole in the wall bar, and once a month Tara would kind of come into view and we would talk and get her up on stage, and she was doing live time EVPs while she's sitting there watching the show. And so I found 4 EVPs from the good old days from 2018. So I think they will play, and they are looped back to back. And before you play them, Jill, I think I'll just give a little bit of explanation here. You'll probably know exactly who this individual is, but there's a little girl that won't leave you alone in these 4 clips. And I believe her name is Guinevere. In fact, she even says this is Guinevere. There's this back and forth with like, do you want to play? And she's like, yeah, I want to play. So you're going to hear all this interaction happening, boom, 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 and that it should cycle through. So see if that plays real quick.
Okay, let me give it a click.
Do you want to play?
They're closed.
Do you want to play?
They're closed.
Do you want to play?
Okay. So I don't know if you can hear that if you don't have headphones on. Were you guys able to hear any of that?
I can hear it, yeah.
I could hear it.
Okay. So Guinevere came to visit. Now, Tara, just give us a little bit of provenance here before we properly introduce you on who Guinevere is.
I actually forgot about her because it's been so long. I did cross her over though, so she's on the other side now. But she followed somebody into that bookstore. I think she was hanging out there, if I remember right. I think she was about 5, maybe 4 or 5. She was little. I don't usually see ghosts that are that young, because most of the time their guides will cross them over. The only reason that there would be somebody that young as a ghost is because they're there to learn. But a lot of times kids don't get stuck like that. There was a boy, I think if I remember right, there was a boy there too. He's a little bit older than her, and they were running around together. And I'm pretty sure I got him on audio too.
Okay. So that was just to give a little bit of veracity to the type of EVPs, because to me, they're very clear. If you put headphones on, and we had this issue last week, you really got to wear headphones when you're doing audio, anything. Even if you have a simple little one just plugged in your ear, it's the way to do it, right, Tara? Like you wear a headphone to capture these.
Yeah, I have to wear them so I can hear them, but I kind of block out all the outside noise.
Right.
But when people just use their audio devices or they just record on the phone and they hold it up there, they're not going to hear anything because a lot
No.
of times they talk in that static. You got to really listen, and
Right.
and also you can hear sometimes depending on where you're at, you can hear different dimensions. I can hear ghosts in 2 or 3 different dimensions that can't see or hear each other, but you can get it all on audio and hear them, and I can hear
Right.
like that different sound in those different dimensions.
Jill, I think her audio is peaking out a little bit. If you go to her little column off to the right-hand side and find where she's at over there on the camera angle, you can turn down her volume just a bit. It's
Just like
capping out a
that?
little bit. It's
Yeah.
just a little bit scratchy. So just slide that
Uh,
volume button over. Give me another readout, Tara. Say something.
Say something.
Okay, there you go. That'll work. Okay, so that just gives you. I'm giving you guys provenance on how I turn my corner here with the fact that this isn't total BS with Tara, and I think that by the reaction of people that are online, they're in a similar spot with you. So, and you can get rid of that video too by hovering over it and hitting stop or exit. At that point, it'll just bring the 3 of us on. Sorry, I don't have control here, Tara. I have to give it to Jill.
sorry, you guys.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, Jill, take it away.
Okay, so for anyone who submitted questions to us, I kind of weeded out anything that was personal because I feel like that's something that's you need to talk to Tara about, and I didn't want to put people on notice in a audience. So we'll just start with some Bigfoot related, Aolin related questions that we're hoping you and your spirit team can answer. Some of these will start with the more kind of overarching. Someone wanted to know, I am curious about their typical lifespan. Is that any information you've been given?
Yeah, they told me this before, so I tried to explain it before when I talked to you guys, but their time is different than our time. So, like Earth, we have to deal with time. On the other side, there is no time. Their dimension is almost like an in between because he showed me. So I'm talking about the Aeolon that I've been in contact with. He showed me like their time moves so much different than ours that like he's been here for a long time. So like they can go to their place and the time doesn't move like it does here. They don't have the time that we have here. And so when he comes back, it's much further in the future here, if that makes any sense. So like I don't really know how to put that into words. So like when he goes there, if he were to come back here in a week, it might be 50 years. Do you know what I mean? Because
It's like
their
Flight of
time
the Navigator. It's like you go into
yeah,
space and you like, or Interstellar. The
yeah,
time.
it's not the same time. So like I don't know how else to put that. It just isn't the same. So, but when they're here, they're on our timeline. But they do live longer than we do. They live a whole lot longer because of the way that their time is, and they can jump back and forth.
That makes
So,
sense
like
to me.
maybe my grandpa may have seen Aolin like when he was 20, and I may have seen him the same one because they go back and forth. The time isn't the same. I don't know how else to say that. That's just what they show me. Their time doesn't move like our time does.
No, that makes perfect sense. The same person had the questions, why are these creatures showing up so much now? And can they really sense our true intention?
I think there's a couple reasons, and they did show up a lot back, a long time ago too. It's just there was less people, and then the people that were around were more accepting of it. But the reason we're seeing more things from other dimensions now is because the other side told me several years ago. It's been years. I think it's 2017 or 16. They told me that there's the veil is thinning, and I'm sure other psychics have been told this, that the veil is thinning. And as that veil gets thinner, we're going to see more. People are going to start seeing more and more things that they've never seen before. Especially more frequently, because if they can come here easier, then more of them are going to come and more people are going to see them. So I don't know what that necessarily means, why it's thinning, but they also told me that a lot of the people that lived during Atlantis time are here now because Atlantis was very spiritual. They were very gifted. Most people in Atlantis had gifts, and they weren't gifts. It's just everybody was like that. Everybody had abilities, and I really don't know how to explain that. But anyways, the people who lived then, the souls that lived then are here now. Like all those people that lived then are here now. And once those people like get older, you're gonna see more and more people that have gifts than ever before. You're gonna meet more psychics in your lifetime than at any other time in history because those people are here, and we're here because that veil is thinning. And we're also here because of the shift that's happening. So the other side said we're going through a big shift, and that's what they call it. It started about 50 years ago, but it's getting crazier as in a shorter amount of time. And that shift is not necessarily a good thing. In the end, it'll be good because we're learning from it. But that's why all those souls are here now, and that's why you're going to meet a lot of people in your lifetime that have abilities because everybody that lived in Atlantis is here now for that reason.
And just on a side note, I just want to add also, and I don't know if you've had an opportunity to go through the comments on your YouTube video, but there are so many other people with abilities who validate everything you're saying. They're like, this is the same, these are the same messages I've been getting. Someone even referenced the name Aeolin.
Which is weird because I haven't heard it from anybody else except for one other person.
No,
so I'm surprised they got that.
Let me see if the volume's working. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So Aeolin reminds me of like the angelic hierarchy, right? Like the seraphim and the different hierarchies of the angelic realm. Is this related? And no, not at all.
No, angelic. So angels are their own creature, their own species. It's completely separate.
Okay, so what would you call Aeolin as far as like, are they connected to the fairy realm, the fae realm? Are they elementals?
More so than angels because they just come from another dimension, just like fairies do, or any of the other creatures that are out there. They're from a different dimension, and there's so many different dimensions. We probably won't ever know how many there are. There's just so many. And there's what I call the lower frequencies, which is anything. I call the lower frequencies the ones that are kind of negative, and then you have the higher frequencies, which is the other side. But Aeolin is like right there in the middle. They're on our plane, but they're just in a different dimension. That's why when you can see them pop in and out, they're like right there. It looks like they're walking in front of you. That's why, like, if some people see ghosts, they say, oh, they're floating. They're not really floating. They're just walking 3 feet above our ground.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes
Jill?
sense. So, here's a question. Wondering if Sasquatch can hear us if we call on them in a forest they are not known to be in. So I think what they're asking is, like, if they go out into a forest where no one's talked about having sightings and they kind of set that intention and try to, I guess, call them in or make that connection, can they do it?
I think certain people can for sure. I mean, I know Tobe knows a lot of people that can probably do that. I think Daryl's one of those people. But definitely, if they're connected to you, it's not going to matter where you're at because they can pop in and out anywhere. Like up where the Owl Moon Lab is, if we went up there and I, was able to communicate, if they wanted to, they could come in that area. If I was in Virginia or somewhere, I could, if I have that connection, I could still probably connect to them there and the same thing would happen. I don't think that our space matters to them because their space is not like ours. I don't think they're stuck to one specific location. I think they pick locations they like. Because he's told me that they like that location and that's why they go there.
What is your sense on these stick Latins or the glyphs that they leave behind. What do you have any sense on those being more than communication? Tara, what do those mean?
I've been told that they're communication and also warnings. And they use it, they're smart enough that they use it for people, but also their own kind.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've seen some of them that I'm like, I don't know what it means. I've never seen it before, but then I'll get, oh, that's a warning. Don't go near there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's representation of a deeper understanding of communication and like a written language or way of talking? I mean,
Yeah.
we know like people like Jack, he goes into the woods and he's finding almost as if things are being placed with meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, because they're saying that you do use it as communication, and they're trying to communicate. It's easier to communicate telepathically, but if they can't do that, then that's the only other way that they can really communicate with some, other beings.
I was just thinking, it's kind of like we tried to communicate with telepathy and mind speak, but it didn't work, so we had to throw a rock at you instead.
Yeah.
Right. That's just where I am.
They do throw rocks. They do throw rocks to get you out of their area. They don't like they don't like you there. They're going to throw something at you.
I'm the same way.
Yep.
Let's see here. Oh, here's one. Is it possible that there are double agent public figures that are trying to misconstrue the truth about these creatures? Do you think there's some people out there?
You think government is bad?
Nah.
No. Maybe I don't know if they're necessarily talking about government.
Well, how about like
personality?
Yeah, personalities in this field, Tara. Are there double agents here working against this narrative that you're talking about?
Well, there has to be, right? Because that's always going to be the case no matter what. So there's always going to be that. There's always going to be that group that's going to try. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I guess it just depends on the area, but there's always going to be those people that are going to do that.
Well, what about like we've been hearing about kill teams government agents that take care of problems. Is that true? If so, can you give us an example of what's going on in your backyard that they've told you about? Because you said that they knew about a bad person, but do they talk about stuff like government agents coming after them?
They've never told me personally. I've only ever just seen the one guy that was hunting them. I mean, but I could ask. I could ask them. I can ask the other side. And of course, there are. They're just trying to show me something. I don't know the name. I don't know names, but there is a group of, and the reason I said government is because I think it's a fraction of the government or some kind of part of the government that's almost like non-existent, that their whole job is all this stuff that they tell us doesn't exist and we're not supposed to know about, right? And they try to prevent the public from knowing, or they try to hide things or whatever. That does exist in our government. It actually exists all over the world. I don't know what their agenda is. I mean, what does it matter? I don't know why they care to hide things other than control. But yeah, there's always going to be those people. And apparently our government has those folks out there trying to do that too. I'll have to ask more about that because I can see them and I can see kind of what they're up to, but I'm not sure where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And can I just want to clarify, when you talk about Aolin, so because a lot of people, like, there's people in the chat, not in the chat, but like on the posts and stuff in the conversation, they're like, well, I saw this or I experienced that. The way I interpreted Aolin was like, he's saying this is what it's kind of like like I can't speak for all of mankind. I can just talk
Mhm.
about those I know. And that's kind of what Aolin, who made contact with you, is doing. He's like my immediate circle, my
Right.
group. Because I know there's some people who've kind of pushed back on some of what you've said, saying, well, that's not my experience, and this is what I think, and all that stuff, which is great. There's a lot going on, but can you clarify that for people, that Aolin is the specific Bigfoot you're talking
Right.
to, and that's what he
Right.
prefers to be called. Not
Yep.
He is not like the representative for all cryptid Sasquatch.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. So, like, what he showed me is that he prefers to be called that because that's what he said. That's where they come from. So there's not a differentiation between like him and where they come from, like the dimension that they come from. And just like he told me before, there are bad ones and there are good ones. And he said, you got to watch out for the bad ones. Of course, he doesn't talk like this. I'm just talking like I talk, right? So he basically shows me like there's good ones like him and his family. And then there's some bad ones that you have to watch out for. So you can't trust them all. But Aolin is just where he told me that's what they call where they come from. So that's what he prefers to be called because that's what they are. They are Aolin. And that's what he's told me. I'm not speaking for all the other Bigfoots in the world, or, because there's different he told me there's different species of them. They're like humans, right? So like he's a North American and he's, whatever. And then there's other ones that are from Russia or whatever. Like they hang out in Russia. He's like, they're different. There's different species, but they're all the same. I don't know if that makes any sense. So my experience isn't going to be the same as somebody else's because I'm only communicating with him. I'm not communicating with any others. He's the only one I've ever connected to. I've seen another one and he told me that one's very bad, but I never communicated. I had no intention of trying to connect to the other one that we saw.
Is that the other one up in the Al Moon area?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Tara, we've been hearing about people that have filed claims with the Veterans Department for injury that have been hurt approaching UFOs or the phenomena. They've experienced what's tantamount to like radiation of some kind, but it's not radiation. It's more of like this energetic psychic thing. And so that, the checks are being cashed out by these vets that are hurt while active duty. Is there anything like that in the Bigfoot world that we need to be cautious of that could cause injury or harm? And it's not necessarily their fault. It just has to do with the energetic side of their nature. Maybe it is their fault.
Not that I'm being told, nor that I've experienced. I'm not seeing anything like that from them. Mm-mm.
But what about
healings? Other than physical.
Do they do healings? Because we hear a lot about healings.
So I have been told that some can do that, depending on the person, I think. And also, this is so weird. Animals too, which is really weird because most of the things you hear with animals is that they tear them apart, right, and eat them because that's part of what they eat, I guess. But apparently they can heal animals. They're showing me a horse, probably because I'm connected to horses, I'm guessing. And then, their energy is not, I wouldn't compare anything to like that, the radiation or whatever that is, because I don't see any of that surrounding them. At least I don't see any of that. So even with the portals that they go through or the dimensions they go through, I don't see those as being dangerous. Like if you were to walk near one, I don't think it's going to make you sick or, anything like that. I'm not getting that any of that associated with them. But the healing, yes, they're saying that some of them can do that, but it's almost like not all of them can do it. There's certain ones. Like they're showing me a picture in my head of a shaman, so I would associate that like with a human. We would think of a shaman as healing. They have their own kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's almost like they don't know. Not that they're not intelligent, but not that they pick one and they're like, you're our shaman. It's not like that. It's just certain ones can do that. And I'm also being shown that those are the ones that spend a lot of times with the Native Americans. because they would come and spend time with the Native Americans a long time ago. Like, and they would touch them because I can see them, like, they touch hands together.
How does that look? What do you mean they touch hands? Can you like this? Like they put their hand out and
So like this, like they put their hands flat on, you know, like this.
okay, like that.
Yeah, they would sit together
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
I've seen that. They've showed me that before. They showed that to me once before. Like it was some kind of fire ritual is what they called it. And like there was an Aeolin there or Bigfoot there, whatever you want to call it, whatever you guys call them. And there was one there and they were doing that with their hands. And there was like dancing and a big fire and they were literally just sitting together. They weren't even standing. They were sitting on the ground.
Any more questions, Jill?
Oh yeah, I've got a list. I'm just
Okay. Fire. Let's do some fire. Fire off a bunch.
okay. Lightning round. Here we
Here
go.
we go. Yeah. Take a
Let's
swig.
see here. In no particular order. If they are interdimensional beings, which you've established, what is the other dimension or dimensions like that they travel through? Tell us about their home.
So what they've shown me is it's a lot like here, other than the trees look different. And there's these big, I know I've told you guys this before, but those big crystal pillar things, they're massive. They're like as tall as our trees in the forest. They're like what we would think of as like just your regular boring crystal, you know, like the, I don't know, what's the most boring crystal you can think of? They're white and they're like clear.
Like
they go up in the
quartz?
sky. They come out of the ground. Huh?
Like a quartz crystal?
Yeah, like a quartz crystal. And they come out of the ground and they go like clear up in the air, like as tall as like our trees. And there's, you know, it almost looks like a high desert. And then all these crystal things coming out of the ground and they're massively tall. And I was told that produces energy and it produces a ton of energy for them to be able to walk, to come here. Like to go through their portals and come here. And then their earth or wherever they're from, their place, it looks similar to ours with the trees and the water. And I mean, it's pretty similar. I would say you would know that it's not Earth if you were there, but it's pretty similar. And then Aeolin told me that because I asked him, well, then why do you come here? And he said they like it here. And that's the only explanation I got. They like to come here.
And are you talking about specifically the Pacific Northwest or just?
Yeah,
the
well,
3D
I asked
Earth?
specifically where I saw him up there at Owl Moon area.
Mhm.
I asked why there, and he said because they like coming there. They like to be there. And also that they've been coming there for a very long time.
And you had mentioned that they'd had relations with the Native Americans
Mm-hmm.
who were there. So
Yeah. Yep.
very good. How about do they need food for fuel in the other dimensions, or do they fuel themselves on another type of energy? Because there's been talk about them coming to the 3D, to our dimension, for feeding and for food. How are they sustaining themselves in their origin place?
That's a good question because I haven't seen the food in their place. I didn't see any animals when they showed it to me. And I do feel like our animals are different, especially deer. They like deer and they don't have deer there. But they do have plants because I can see a lot of plant life over there. It's similar to ours. I don't know anything about plants, so I couldn't tell you what it is. But probably pretty similar to what we have here. But I don't see animals there at all. I don't see, the only animals that I see there are animals that we wouldn't consider animals. We would consider them like creatures.
Mm.
Like some of them are really icky too.
Is
Like
that
those
one
things that knock on the wood.
I was just gonna say the smaller black things
Uh-huh.
that you reported when we were out with you?
Yeah, those things. Those are there. And then they have these little white things that look like bunnies, but they're not. I call them bunnies because they're little white things that kind of look like bunnies and they hop around, but they're not bunnies. And I don't know, that comes from there, but I don't know if they eat those. I don't know. I'll have to ask him next time I talk to him, but I don't know if he eats those.
I can see them just popping them like
Yeah,
popcorn
right.
shrimp or something. Here's a question. If we travel to a primitive campground and respectfully reach out to any of the local Aolin and left out some apples, do you think they would respond positively? Like by taking the apples overnight. And then they made a note. Every time I think about these people, I send love. That's good. They're sending good intentions. But what do you think about that? And someone else had asked about what kind of snacks do you think they like? And I'm assuming those are people who are out in the field trying to think like, what
Right.
can we leave them? So what are your thoughts on the apples?
So it's interesting because when you asked me first, like about the food over there, I didn't see any citrus or apple trees or anything because I was kind of scanning to see if I could see any of that. I don't see any of that. They do like that stuff here, but he told me that they all have different tastes, just like we do. Like I think a long time ago he told me his son likes the peanut butter, but he does not. And I think you guys were leaving peanut butter up there, and he's like, I don't like peanut butter. I don't like that stuff. But his son likes it, and so and then he also told me when I was at the Owl Moon Lab, they told me that they don't like fish very much, or like only some of them like the fish, so not to leave fish out, which is weird because you would think that would be something they would want, but I was told they don't like the fish. And I know people will leave tuna fish out, and that's probably wasteful because I don't think they like that. But yeah, they like
you said leave like what'd you say? Something else other than fish. I can't remember what you said. You said canned something.
Sardines, was it?
Sardines.
Yeah.
Not tuna fish. It was something about they didn't like the tuna fish.
Right.
So I don't blame them. But so they like different things. So the point was, he was telling me they don't all like the same thing. So you could try to leave out a variety and see what they like, but they don't all just like the same thing.
Well,
right. Interesting.
We all have different tastes, so that's fair. Tara, can you go back and talk about a little bit more about the other creatures, the things, the knockers, the ones that do the distraction? I think I saw Greg Ogles was in the chat asking if you could expand on that. The smaller black creatures.
Yeah, I don't like those. Okay, so I guess people call them knockers. I didn't really know what they were, but I've experienced one, which was pretty scary actually, because they can jump through as well, and it'll sound like they'll knock behind you, and then all of a sudden it'll be like 100 yards in front of you, and they can move really fast, and they'll knock over here, knock over there, and they're doing it to scare you. I mean, they're like mischief makers, right? And then I was told a long time ago that they'll do that to distract you away from like the Aolin or whatever, or if you're in that area, because they come from the same place and they'll come through with Aolin. So like they'll pop in with them and they make all that noise and irritate you. Not to say that Aolin doesn't knock on trees, because they told me that they do. They'll like hit big sticks against trees. But like that little knocking that you'll hear sometimes are those little black things, those little black mischief makers. They're just little black, they're like 4 feet tall. They're kind of creepy looking, and I know people have seen them because I was told that they'll look around a tree, like they'll look around at you, and people have seen them. They look like a really ugly, I don't know what you call them, elves, or I don't know. They're hideous things, but people have seen them. But they look black. They look like dark shadow black, like blacker than black sometimes, and then sometimes you can actually see you can see that they kind of look like they have a face.
It reminds me of Adam Davies' sighting. He described seeing little blacker than black things coming out of a red portal, and he said that they were demonic. They were short in stature. They were just kind of very aggressive, and didn't like flashlights. In fact, they would disappear when a flashlight hit them, as though a flashlight was kind of like the counter, like a can of Raid or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. because there's a lot of things that come out, especially now, like with the veil thinning. There's going to be a lot of things that we have never seen before, or different things, and then people are going to confuse things with other things. That'll happen because we're going to start people are going to start seeing things they've never seen before, and so you're going to see a lot more. You're going to see a lot more drawings and like comics and movies with like creatures that you're like, oh, that's weird. It's because people see these things, or they'll see them in their dreams, or whatever, and they draw them, but they're real. A lot of times, a lot of those things come because people, from people's not imagination, but because they've seen them or they've dreamt about them. So,
do you think that people are mistaking? What's your stance on people there is a group of people who anything that is like everything is demonic? Do you think there is like a demonic element, or people are just miscategorizing or misinterpreting or projecting their own dogma on things they don't understand?
So, everybody has their own beliefs. I never try to change anybody's mind. I only know what I've been told. There's the other side, which, a lot of people in this world call heaven or home. It's where we come from. It's where we'll go back to, right? But there's so many other dimensions, but the one dimension that doesn't exist, there is no such thing as hell. There is no hell. There's no Satan. There's no angel that fell. All that is nonsense, right? And I'm not going to try to change anybody's mind. I'm just saying, like, that's what I've been told and shown. So when you say demonic, I think of like things that are evil, but not necessarily like demons from hell. They just don't exist. But there's some pretty nasty, horrible things that come out of those lower dimensions that you could call demonic because they're pretty horrible. And I deal with those all the time because I do clearings for people, and some of those things are so bad they attach to people. They can cause anger, depression, drug use, alcoholism, suicide. Those things are nasty, and I would say they're demonic, but they're not from hell, if that makes sense. They're from those lower dimensions, and people can bring them in unintentionally or intentionally, and they're everywhere. The world is so bad right now; they are everywhere. Every time I do a clearing, I have to clear one of those things, at least one.
So, hey, you guys, I just got a text message on my phone from one of our listeners who's following along that we got to have him on as a guest sometime, as a side note, because we plan on sitting down with him for an interview. Super fascinating. He's coming that the little black things, the dark gray ones, that they're goblins.
That's what I was trying to think of, a goblin. That's what they look like.
He's very well versed in the whole like fae world and all the like the elementals, like a deep dive in it. So I thought that was worth noting and bringing up.
That was what I was trying to think of the word, and that was the word I was trying to think of as a goblin. That's what they look like.
So I still have a few more questions. Let's see if I can push through these. I need glasses. What is their take, the Aelin? What is their take on the journey of spiritual evolution of humanity at this time?
So, as far as I know, I've never been told that they care that much about human spirituality. Like they used to. Well, some of them, not all of them. But the ones that got close to like our Native Americans, because that's what I experienced, what he let me experience. And they did care about that because somehow it helped both parties, right? But I've not been shown anything recent at all with any of that. I can say that at least the one that I've communicated with, his family, that isn't their concern. They're not concerned about what we're doing other than leaving them alone.
Do you think they have, do you think they can contribute somehow to our spiritual journey and our evolution? I mean, obviously there's got to be some takeaways for us. Like,
I think so.
Take care of the planet, pick up litter, right. Don't be a jerk in the forest.
Yep. I think so, because so if you think about it, we're raised to believe certain things, and this doesn't exist, but this does exist, and they are flat out proof that the way I was raised was completely incorrect. right? Like none of that exists. That's all fake and that's nonsense. And I believed that until I experienced it, right? So I think part of the reason that the veil is thinning and we're seeing more of this stuff is because we're supposed to know about it. We're supposed to learn from it, and it's obviously going to help. But it's got to help humanity, and hopefully it helps us for the good rather than making things worse. There's always going to be those people out there that are going to try to ruin it, but I think it's going to help.
Tara, have you noticed an uptick lately in the last couple of years, different than the last 50? You talked about the last 50 years. There's a thinning.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening now, like the last couple of years, that's different?
So they told me that we're in this, what they call the shift, and they won't show me how it ends, unfortunately, but it's like they told me about 50 years ago it started getting bad, and as time goes on it's going to get bad faster for us. Things are going to get worse, and the reason they said that things have to get really bad is so that people turn to their spirituality. They turn to their inner, themselves, and try to, instead of what's going on around them all the time, like TikTok and going to work all the time and not paying attention to why we're really here. We're supposed to turn back to what we're here for, and that's to learn and to come together as a species rather than all the negativity and all the hate. But they said in order for it to get to where it needs to be, it's got to be really bad, and it's going to get really bad, and it's going to get bad faster as time goes on until it's so bad that we have to come together. And we also have to learn that we also have to know that we're here to learn, and people are coming around to that. If you talk to people even on a daily basis, you're going to talk to somebody who's like, they're going to say something, you're like, oh yeah, that's why, that's what we're all here for. But until the majority of people get to that point, it's going to get really bad. And the other side calls it a shift. And I think I talked to one other person, and she was told the same thing, that we're in the shift, and that's what they call it. And it's gonna go downhill until it gets better.
Shift happens.
Yes. Yep.
All right, Jill.
I've got one last question. This has been coming up a lot in comments and posts on various videos on the channel. Someone asked, do they live in Sweden? What can the other side tell you about the Swedish Sasquatch connection? And I'm just going to be completely transparent. I'm all in on this. I'm all about going to Sweden.
I wonder what's up with Sweden. I've never asked about Sweden. So they've told me that they can go anywhere they want, but they choose to go specific places. And I'm not seeing any specific ones in Sweden. Like normally they'll show. Normally they'll show me in my head like a scenario, or it's almost like a movie in my head where they're out and about in a specific place. I'm not seeing them in Sweden. That doesn't mean they're not, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I see other things. I'm sure they could go there if they wanted to. Maybe they have gone there, but I don't know if they spend a lot of time there because they're not showing me that they do. I might have to get more in depth and ask Gail about that.
Okay. Put that on top of your list.
Yeah.
I know this is like the most important question for me, but yeah, because it's weird because lately there's been all this activity of people from Scandinavia. Like we have them in Sweden. We have giants here. We have all this stuff. And I'm just
I see other things there. Like I can see all kinds of things in Sweden. There's some weird stuff. And actually, you should ask, if you're going to go there, ask about their things that live in the water. Like I don't know. They call them monsters. I don't know what they are. Ask them about things they've seen in the water. Because apparently there's some like really serious water cryptid things going on.
Tara, is there a link between the Sasquatch and the Greys? And if so, what's the link?
So I've asked that a couple of times, and I keep getting that there's not a significant link. Even though people say like I've heard people say that they've seen like UFOs at the same time, or they might be connected that way. I even used to think, oh, they must be aliens, but then when I asked about it, they're like, no. The only link is the energy at the place that they come through. So like, I think I've explained before, like certain places on Earth have really strong energy. So it's easier for alien to come through in those places. Owl Moon Lab is one of those places. You could pretty much hear the energy in that place. But there are, beings from other places that are also attracted to the places on Earth that have that energy, that have that special energy. So I'm not saying it's a coincidence that they're in the same place at the same time, but I've never been told, and I've asked, that there's no direct connection between like Greys and Aolin.
Interesting.
Not saying there's not. I'm just saying I've been told there's not a direct connection.
I've heard reports of them being taken aboard craft along with humans that are being abducted as though they're a part of the same experiment. Is there a hierarchy to could the Greys have a hierarchy to like ownership? Are we the farm animals, including the Bigfoot? Oh
yeah. So there's so many different ones out there, but they see us as nothing. Like they're smarter than we are. They're more advanced than we are. There are certain species, I guess you would call them extraterrestrials, that literally use us as experiments because they don't care. Like we're nothing to them. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't take Aolin and especially if they're on Earth and they're here and they're solid and they can take them. I don't see why they wouldn't. They're like, oh, there's an experiment. You know what I mean? But there are certain extraterrestrials that do not care about us other than research. And there's bad ones and there's good ones. Just so we all know, that there's bad ones and there's good ones.
And just to ride on that statement, any thoughts or any kind of insight from the other side right now on the direction disclosures going in and what we can expect?
The direction disclosure is going in?
Like with all UAP and UFO disclosure, like are we just like on track of slowly learning, or are we about to get hit with some like earth shaking, like paradigm shifting information?
So they're showing me now that it's like they're showing me a graph. They like to show me pictures. So those graphs that have like the mountains on it and it goes up and down? They're showing me that. So like it might be like at a peak and then it'll go back, level out, something else will happen, and then a peak. But I was told that serious stuff will come to light in like the 2040s. Not to say that it's not going to get more active before then, but that's the years that they keep telling me that are important in the extraterrestrial era, I guess. I don't know how else to say that. Because when I asked about it, they said the 2040s, like 2046 or mid 2040s, is when there's going to be a lot happening.
How much longer do we have, Jill?
Well, I asked Tara to be with us from 7:30 to 8:30. We still have 10 minutes with her, and then we just have some little housekeeping things to.
Okay, because there's some questions.
Yeah. Let's go to the chat. Let's talk.
In the chat here too. Let's see here. So they do get food. They mainly get their dietary stuff from this world or their world.
Both, but they like what they can eat here because they told me, or he told me, that they like the food here. They like it a lot better. But when I see their world, it's not like here. It's not like they have massive amount of food source everywhere. It's almost like because their time is different, they don't have to eat as much. Or, like when they're here, they have to eat all the time. When they're there, it's almost like long time lapses go by. And I also don't see any animals. And I think they like to eat our animals.
Another person asked, can we go to their world if we wanted to? Could they like bring us through an entry point? Could we go to where they are?
Like
Not not astrally, but like physically, right? Because there's reports of people hearing portals open and seeing like a hairy hand come out of a portal and saying things like, I almost gotcha.
So I was just shown that there are very few people, but there are people, very, very few, that have actually stepped into that dimension. They're showing me that they can't stay long. It makes you really sick, and then they were kicked back, but they're showing me that there are very few people that have actually gone through the dimension. I can't tell you who they are, but I'm seeing 2 men and 1 woman. I don't know if they're still alive or if they're living now, but they're saying that those people have actually stepped in physically into their dimension, and they were able to do that. And actually, they're saying that one of the men that has been there, he's still alive. So if you can find that guy, there's one guy, at least one, that has done that. Like
There you
they're
go.
saying he's living to this day. If we can find him, he has literally. They're showing me he was hiking. He was in the forest, and I'm not sure where. I'll see if I can find out. But he was in the forest. He heard some noise, whatever. He walked through this area, and he literally walked through it, and he stood in there, but it popped him back. He was there long enough to look around, and it popped him back. And I don't even know if he's told anybody, but I can see that happened to him.
That sounds familiar to people who report. You hear these stories about people who, like the Middle Earth, the inner hollow Earth type people who are running into like elves and whatnot,
right?
And stuff. It's like they have this moment of, I guess, the frequency, the vibrations just right. They have their moment, and then they're just kicked out of it.
Yeah, this guy though, if we can find him, he will be able to tell you that he saw those pillars that I see. He physically saw them.
Mm-hmm. Now wait, Tara, it sounds like you're honing in on something here. So
I wish I knew who he was.
Yeah. So how does this work? Like I have no idea how this works. Like when you start honing in on an individual, can you get state? Can you get neighborhood? Can you get age? How do you hone in? Like, let's say this is like a suspect and I'm a cop. How do we find this guy?
So sometimes I can see what he looks like, right? But sometimes I can get like so he's in his, I would say, late 30s. And I can see what he was wearing, what he looks like. They show it to me almost like a movie in my head, right? Like he's walking around, then he goes through and he stands there. He's like, oh my God. And then he pops back out. And then he's like scared. He doesn't tell anybody. I can see where he's at, like the area he's in, but I don't know where that's at because he's like on right off a trail, and I have no idea. So sometimes they'll give me an area. They'll give me clues as to what area it's in. So they're telling me it's and I'm not good with location. It's up in the northern part of the United States, like up eastern. Starts with an M. Maybe is Maryland up there? Like on the top, kind of.
Yeah. Maryland would be
somewhere
northeast.
You have Maine. You have
Somewhere up there.
Massachusetts.
Oh, maybe it's Maine. Is it that further on the top? I'm sorry, I'm terrible with geography.
Yeah, Maine
Anyway,
is
somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's somewhere up there.
Is he into the subject matter? Does he follow the subject matter? Like, no.
No, he's not at all. And I don't even think he knew where he was, and he did not see Aolin. He just popped into that dimension because I can see the big pillars. So he went into that dimension.
Wow. That's cool.
Is that something we could
another man and
view?
a woman.
Could we remote view that maybe? Like do a deep dive remote viewing? Not now, but like maybe later. Make a note, folks.
Get in touch with Simeon.
So he's definitely one that's done it. And then, of course, there are people like myself who I can go in, but it's in my mind. I've never physically been there. So I guess it would be really cool to physically go there, but I've seen it, from what he's shown me. It's almost like if you try to think back on a memory, it's like that. Like I can think of it, of what he showed me. It's like a memory. Like the guy that was chasing him through the forest when he put me in his body and I was running through the forest and scared to death. I saw that guy chasing, the guy was chasing me and I was running and I could literally feel the grass on my legs when he was running through the grass. It was so cool. I don't know why that popped into my head, but that guy, he showed me what that guy looks like too.
And so let's just remind the audience, you were body riding inside of a Sasquatch and you had a guy chasing you as though you were the Sasquatch turning around and you could see this maniac.
Yeah. So like I was running and he was trying to warn me not to go up there. And I don't even think it was about that guy. I think it was about the murders, right? Because he showed me when I got up to the road that there were cop cars up there and there was an ambulance. I'm like, why are they here? Because I thought he was trying to warn me against the guy that's chasing him with a gun, but it was two different incidences. The guy with the gun was hunting him, actively hunting them. That's why he was going up there. And that guy, he showed me what he looked like. He showed me the car he drove. He showed me what his dog looked like. But then when he showed me the cop cars and the ambulance, that had nothing to do with that guy. And I couldn't put the two together. Like I couldn't figure out why. But yeah, that's never happened to me before. He just like sucked me in and I was running and I was in his body. I could feel the grass. I could feel like the weight of his body and I could feel him running through the forest and I couldn't get out. And it was really scary because I thought I'm not going to get out of this. And it was scary because I was like running for my life and I wasn't me. I was him. It was freaky. But finally came out of it and I was like, well, that was kind of cool, but it was scary at the time. I don't know. You should ask if anybody else ever had that happen because that was pretty freaky.
Well, yeah, if anyone in the chat or anyone listening has had any kind of experience like that, let us know.
This isn't going to be the only conversation we have with you, Tara, right, Jill?
Oh, Tara, you'll come back, won't you?
We want to have you back and do this regularly, and I have plans for you this summer, and you don't even know that yet. So, not only
I need a place to go though. Like I have, if I don't come out in my car, I get bombarded by kids and animals. I need a place I can go to talk to you guys. It's not in my car.
We're gonna get her a Cresswell studio.
Right.
That's what's gonna happen.
We'll have to go to Home Depot and get like one of those she sheds or whatever.
Oh yeah.
You can have your own she shed. Like
right, that would be cool.
Get it all decked out. Well, hey, so Tara, a lot of people, like I've told you on a regular, so many people reach out wanting to know how to get in contact with you. So I think Brett may have dropped the link in the chat. I thought I saw it, but
redrop it, Brett.
Brett, drop the link for Tara in the chat, and we'll go ahead and post it in the description once this goes live. We set up a page for Tara on our bigfootdoc.com, and we set up a Gmail account, so everything is just in its own silo. If you want to reach out to her for a reading, and you guys can work out scheduling and details, just so she's not having to give out her work or her personal email, and she's able to separate this from her personal life. But in that way, I'm not playing secretary or assistant, sorting through all this stuff. So we're really excited about people being able to connect directly with you. And there's just been so many people reaching out. So I'm really excited about this. And
so I don't want people to think I'm ignoring them. I'm so busy. I get up at 4 a.m. I come home, I go to bed. I literally don't even read my messages. So once my life settles down a little bit, I'm not ignoring anyone if they get up, if they try to reach out and I don't respond right away. It's just because I literally there's no time in the day right now. That'll change, but lately it's been hectic, busy. So it's hard for me because I know there's messages like in Messenger I haven't even been able to open just because I've been so busy. So
well, I'm
not trying to ignore anyone. I've just been busy.
Yeah. Eventually, Oak Ridge is a little bit of a drive for you, but there is a place for you to go if you can ever make it up to Oak Ridge to do proper readings. We're working on that now. It's a place called Area 58, right by the Dairy Queen. You know the spot in Oak Ridge, Oregon. And so there is an open door less than 35 minutes, I believe, from you, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
Other
as
than
long
that,
as
there,
the pass isn't bad.
yeah, but we're just talking about the future here. So we'll find a way forward for you to do this more often here. Jill and I are pretty clever, and we're going to get clever on your behalf so you can do stuff on other people's behalf. Is there anything you want to say, Tara, in closing here about maybe something coming through? Is there anybody like tapping on your shoulder like, hey, I want to,
Yeah,
is there
actually.
what's that?
Give me a minute to try to get a name. I'm terrible with names. Sometimes they come right in, and sometimes it's hard to get. Somebody that's okay. So this is going to be very non-specific because I don't know who they're asking for. Somebody that's watching or will watch has I think it's a grandmother, and it's a name like Marjorie or Margie or Margaret, something like that. And I can't breathe.
Oh, did she just said
Oh,
she's having,
spirit.
well, now wait a second. That's interesting. I hope she comes back. I
Hold
think she
on.
was just about to say that she was having trouble breathing, as though the
Hold
spirit
on.
of Margaret was coming through. There you are.
There you are.
Are you okay? Were you
Mhm.
having what
They do
happened
that to show me how they pass because. Oh, sorry. Were they interrupting? They took my internet out or something?
there? No, start
Did
over.
you get that? Because she wanted to say that she was here.
No, start over, Tara. When we lost the camera and you were about to say, I'm having trouble breathing, and the camera stopped.
I think we're getting some interference, and that might be.
Well, the timing's pretty weird.
Yeah, we'll just kind of, you know what? Let's just kind of hang out a second and see if.
Mhm. Yeah, because I want her to see
right there.
if there's anybody here that has a Margaret or a Maggie that is a grandmother type figure. My grandma Margaret. There's a gal named Kim Kincaid, Tara, that says that she has a grandmother named Margaret.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I just got overwhelmed. There was like 15 people in my car besides me. Okay, hang on. I'm dizzy. Okay, so yes, somebody by the name, I don't know if you heard everything. Her name is either Margie, Margaret, Maggie, something like that. But she just came through and I couldn't breathe. So usually when they do that to me, it's either they pass from respiratory distress or like pneumonia, or she had a cardiac event. And she said that her loved one is watching and she wants them to know that she is okay. And
Okay.
she says that they'll know who she is because she seems like she thinks they'll know who she is, but because of the way that she passed away.
Was she? Did this happen suddenly, or was this a condition that grew over time? This passing.
I don't think it was a sudden thing.
Okay, so this would be a prolonged
Because I'm having
respiratory thing. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm having trouble breathing, so it could be congestive heart failure, maybe, or maybe pneumonia. It was something that she had, and then eventually she passed from it.
Okay. And you're getting grandmother type energy off of them. Is she reaching out to, can you tell who she's reaching out to? Can you describe who she might be reaching out to, like a guy or a girl? How does that part work?
Sometimes they'll tell me. I feel like it's a female, though.
Okay.
I mean, the one that she wants to talk to is a female, but I feel like there's more than that, obviously. But I feel like there's a female energy she's trying to get a hold of. There's also a little boy. She's showing me a little boy. I don't know how old he is, but, you know.
Jill, take care of her
Maybe.
volume again. She's peeking out again. It's coming in hot.
Sorry.
No, that's not your fault. With this when you logged off.
I was trying
Okay.
to get back to my Wi-Fi.
All right. Well, there you have it. Margaret, Maggie, something of that nature here. COPD, heart condition, probably long-term reaching out possibly to a female. And she wants you to let you know that she's okay. Anything else that you want to tell us?
Did you get the little boy, his little boy, with the living female or connected to the living female? She just wanted me to say that. I don't know if he's like maybe 9 or 10. I can't tell.
Oh, so the female that Margaret or Maggie's trying to reach out to has a little boy attached to her of some kind, a living boy?
Yeah, like he's,
like a son,
you
a
know, he
grandson? Okay.
could be, yeah.
Okay. So maybe like her grandson.
I know that's pretty vague, but it's easier for me to read people when I can talk to them. But
Okay.
this spirit was really, really overwhelmingly powerful. So I wanted to say something.
Okay. Jill?
Awesome. Tara, thank you. And
Sorry, my connection's bad.
you're fine. Don't worry. And we look forward to this. Will not be our last conversation. So we will catch up with you in the near future. Meanwhile, when you have a chance, just check your new Gmail account to connect with people who are interested in readings.
All right, I will do that, and I'll talk to you guys soon. We'll do this again.
Okay, thanks,
All right.
Tara.
Bye, Tara. Thanks.
All right, see ya.
All right. We wanted to let her go because she's got a full house waiting. But, man, I was just thinking, like, we got to get her, like, a studio or something. Like, what if, hey, gang, what if we crowdfunded something like that, like a she shed? Like, I think that 500,000 people all chipping in $1 would be a big life transferring thing for all of us, but in particular just for like a she shed to get her like a place where she could do something like this, because I can tell there's so much
where the animals aren't. I mean, I get it.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know if you have any ideas, folks. Let us know. Get in touch with us regarding that, or go check out her video on YouTube. It's under Tara Harris on the Flash of Beauty YouTube page, and I think it's approaching 600,000 views, which is just.
I think it's more.
Is it more?
I think it's over 700,000. She is a popular lady.
Well, that's like 100,000 in the last 2 weeks.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Well, something's got to give with that, and like I said, I'm going to try to get her out into the public so she can do this more and more, and you can come see her and convince her to do this full time.
That's what we need. We need to make it happen. Yeah. So, Tobe, any takeaways from that?
Well, the thing with the guy going from Maine into the portal, I thought was really fascinating because I could see her. First of all, she started looking off to the left where Maine would be, like as though she's looking at a map. And I was just like, oh, she's having total recall right now. Like you're talking to a witness that's having a memory. And so that's really fascinating. So synchronicity kicks in, and somehow this guy reaches into the universe and finds us. That would be an amazing add plus to her ability. I just thought that was really interesting. I mean, it reminded me so much of people that have wandered into different timelines. Like you hear stories like they went into a bar and suddenly everyone's dressed in like his 1930s and they walk out of, I mean, like a Twilight Zone episode, let's face it. And that's kind of what she was describing, except they went into like Krypton and they saw like the giant glass pillars or crystal pillars. I love the fact that she said when she said name a boring crystal. I was just like, that's so good. Where else are you gonna hear that, folks? Name a boring crystal. Quartz, the most boring. Oh my gosh, I love that.
She's so matter of fact. I love it. So yeah, everyone, that will not be the last time Tara's here, and we do want to ramp up where she can do live readings. Obviously, we've got some tech issues to figure out if we want to bring people on for her to interact with. I mean, good Lord, Tobe and I can barely handle logging.
Someone asked if I've been doing lie detection studies. I haven't. I just talked to a lot of BS artists along the way, and you get a feel for this kind of stuff. Anyway, that's it. We have something coming up tomorrow. in Longview. Don't forget that Squatch Fest. If you can just come out Saturday, great. If you can grab a hotel and make it a Friday, Saturday, Sunday deal, or Friday deal, whatever, come out to Longview, find Jill and I. I'll be out there with plenty of wood watchers. In fact, I was up till 6 o'clock tonight finishing a couple pieces. There's a lot there. We got some Feral by Aaron Ceramics, and then Jill's showing up with all of our. Can I put this on camera? Like everything is right off camera suddenly here. We have our beautiful. Is yours in the background here? We have our beautiful Flash of Beauty night lights. Who
They're
doesn't wanna
flashlights.
Yeah, they're flashlights. That's right. Anyway, they're super cool. We'll have plenty of those there, and
Tobe, I only have 4 left. They've been selling like hotcakes.
really,
I only have 4
oh
left
gosh,
right now. We've been so busy. I didn't have time to get another order place. So it's gonna be a lot of shaking hands and kissing babies for Jill, and just like saying,
well, we need more baby kissing. That's one thing that I want more of in
I
2025.
do. I have a limited amount of sweatshirts and t-shirts, and we have all the new stickers that are totally awesome. So
Oh yeah, and I need some more new business cards, and
yeah,
it's a good network, you know,
it's
like
just fun. We had so much fun last year.
Mhm.
Our little booth was like the hot
And there's
spot.
an after party. Oh yes, so if you guys want to come talk Bigfoot, that's great. But there is an after party. Come to our table, and if you do the secret handshake right, maybe I'll tell you where it is. So that's coming up, and then of course Baker City coming up in March. What are the dates again?
March 14th through the 16th. Brett, if you can drop the Baker City link for the Geyser Grand event in the chat, that would be awesome. And just a couple things I wanted to finish up. We are wrapping up filming Voices in the Wilderness. After A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed came out, Ron Moore had approached us and basically asked us and gave us the exclusive to tell his story that he wrote about in Voices in the Wilderness. And look, this is his legacy, and we're taking our time because we get one shot at telling this right. And so we've been working on this diligently, and we're getting the final pieces. So we have that going on. We also, tomorrow a new interview is dropping. Mark your calendars, set time aside. This one's almost 2 hours long. This one's epic. While we were out in Alabama in December, we had the pleasure of sitting down with a gentleman by the name of Tim Baker. And what we thought would be, I know there's no such thing as a short Bigfoot story or interview. We thought we'd spend like 2 to 3 hours with him. We spent 10 hours with him. And so this is the first interview. We have another video that will drop later. This is just his sit down, and it is magnificent. This might be the most, he covers a lot of ground, and it really shifted my paradigm.
Wow. Okay. You sold me.
Be on the lookout for that tomorrow. And also, we are doing a strong push to wrap up A Flash of Beauty 3. And that's our most recent documentary that is a focus on Indigenous voices. And we need to, not to get back on the Art Bell Coast to Coast thing, but we need to get east of the Rockies and represent more middle of America. And if you're a Native American, or you know someone who has a amazing Sasquatch story to share, or a perspective or a philosophy that they want to get out, please reach out to us at info@bigfootdoc.com, or have them reach out to us. We want to represent as much as we can. Of course, we're a little bit, here on the West Coast, we really have to plan these trips to maximize, but we're optimistic that we can get more voices in the story. I don't know. Other than that, I mean, There is some more Alabama stuff coming out later, and I don't know if you followed the East. There was a town hall, the Eastern Alabama Bigfoot town hall recently. It sounded like a lot of good stuff. I'm gonna kind of keep my finger on that pulse because there's some interesting stuff going on out there.
Yeah, big stuff coming up in the future. That's all I got tonight, Jill. Hey, I will see you in a couple days.
Yeah.
And guys, we'll see you next week. Same Squatch place, same Squatch time every Thursday, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard
Always
Time.
7 o'clock, Tobe.
Yeah.
Always.
All right. Hey, Jill, can you stick around after the show? You're in trouble.
Oh no. Yes, I will. Okay. Oh boy.